Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Steve Willits, and hello.
Hi, Teresa. How are you?
Good. We're going to talk about all the exciting news of sports, but first we want to thank our sponsor, Red Onion Burgers, for their support, and let's get right to football.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough week in the Edmonds School District as far as varsity football was concerned. Three of our teams not able to pick up a win on Friday night. Edmonds-Woodway, however, did play Woodinville, a team that many think could win the 4A state championship. And they played them tough, so not a bad night for the Warriors, but nonetheless, no victories there. We did have one school, though, that was able to not only pick up a win, but they defeated a previously undefeated team, and that was the Meadowdale Mavericks. They beat Shorecrest on Friday, and we brought two of the players from that Mavericks football team into the studio, not only to talk about that victory, but also about the upcoming Maverick football season. The Meadowdale Mavericks football team picked up a 31-13 victory against Shorecrest on Friday night, their second consecutive victory. And with us right now, the quarterback, Nate Hebert, and the tight end / defensive back, Jaxson Foltz. Guys, congratulations on the victory. Stat-wise, this thing looks pretty good here. Nate, 21 of 31, 307 yards passing, and 3 touchdowns. Plus, you ran for a touchdown. I've got to think that your coming out game, if you will, it had to feel pretty good to have a big night for you.
Yeah, it was a crazy experience for me. I came into that game thinking, all right, let's just go get a win. Not really about me. And I had playmakers like Jaden Jaxson out there. They're just making plays for me, throwing the touchdowns. I don't know how he caught his one. That was crazy. And then the rush, it was just good call, right time. I didn't even get touched on the way to the end zone. So I wouldn't call it a coming out game. I feel like I have more to offer, but it was a pretty surreal experience for me.
You got you rolling. Now, we should mention, too, I know you and Hunter Moen were kind of battling for that quarterback position throughout the preseason, and Hunter winning the battle at one point and was the starting quarterback, out with a concussion this past week. So for you, I've got to think just a tremendous confidence booster, too, right?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I came in pretty low after he won the job. We battled for a while. I was happy for him, but at the same time, like as a competitor, I was hurt a little bit. But you never want to see a guy go down. I definitely didn't want to see him get hurt. So filling in Redmond last week, getting that win, I felt good going into this week. And then I just got it rolling against Shorecrest, and it's been fun so far.
Definitely got it rolling with those stats. And one of the guys that helped him get there, this guy in the end, Jaxson, 9 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown. And you, as a tight end, I know you had to step into some big shoes this year. Zach Plummer was a 2-time All-Wesco player. Well, first of all, tell me about this game a little bit against Shorecrest. 9 catches in a game. When was the last time you had 9 catches in one night?
Well, never. To be honest with you.
There we go.
Didn't play offense at all last year. And coming in for Zach, some big shoes to fill. Because if you've ever met Zach, he's just a really smart guy in general. Really knows the offense. And so there were really high expectations at tight end this year, and I'm just trying to live up to those, to be honest with you, currently.
I think if you keep giving them 9 catches a game, you're more than living up to them.
I hope so.
Nate, talk a little bit about some of the other stars from the game on Friday night. You mentioned that there were a few other guys that you were throwing the ball to. Obviously, Jaxson didn't have all 307 of those yards. Who else were we tossing the ball around to, and who else was helping to contribute?
So Jaden Jaxson came in, had 2 of my other touchdowns. He was electric on Friday. He came out, we kind of looked at the corner he was on, and we're like, all right, I like my guys. And I think he had about 5 catches for 60 or something like that. And then we had Will Schaefer with 5 catches for 110. Tyler Gibson was in there. He had a few catches. Drew Harvey saved me on an interception one time, actually. Made a nice play on the ball. And even Will Maloney had a few catches. So we got everybody in there. But I give Jaden was definitely my go-to guy that game. It was pretty cool to have him on my side right there.
And as far as being a quarterback, you can't do it without an offensive line, too. How's the line playing lately?
Those starting 5, they're great. We had Hunter Cliff went out with a concussion during practice this week, so we had Alfred step in. And Alfred's a pretty undersized guy, and this man did his job all week. He came in, got in the game. I got sacked 0 times on Friday. Jerem was playing well. Ish was playing well. Max had a few touch-ups, but he's one of the better players in Wesco. And even Eric Lee, like that's Bang Bang, that's our guy. And I would take my starting 5 against anyone else. Like I like who I got up front, and I like my line.
I want to make sure I heard that right. The nickname is Bang Bang?
Bang Bang. He got it at camp during the belly flop challenge.
So you got belly flop meaning into a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Nice job, Bang Bang. Hey, Jaxson, now what about the defense? So obviously you held them to 13 points. Who was getting it done over on that side of the ball?
Yeah, so again, our defensive line played really well. It started off real slow. I think just coming into the week, we were kind of battling through a little bit of just fatigue on the defensive side. Some people were hurt. Drew Harvey's having a little bit of problem in his shins this week, but he really stepped up. We started off with not all our starters in for some complications, but towards the end of the game, we really started clicking, and I think that once we get going on defense, the fire starts going, you know what I mean? And we kind of build off each other. Maxwell plays great on both sides of the ball. He's a huge contributor. Jared Music came on really late and played phenomenal. 3 sacks, I think, against their quarterback. So, yeah, just playing with a fire, I think, is the biggest thing on defense for us.
Very nice. We should mention, too, Shorecrest was coming into this game undefeated, put up 58 points the week prior against Kingston. So the fact that you held them to 13 points, outstanding job for you guys as well. First game of the year, I know it's not maybe the favorite topic, but you had a rough one against Monroe. Lessons learned for a game like that? I know the one nice luxury is that it was a non-conference game, so it really doesn't hurt you in the standings. But Nate, what did you guys come away from that game learning about yourselves and maybe that you needed to work on? And how much better is this team right now than it was a couple weeks ago?
We're so much better than we were against Monroe. We came in kind of feeling ourselves like we were like, all right, let's go in, let's go beat this big old 4A team. And they came out, punched us in the mouth, and we just weren't ready for it. We turned the ball over 6 times, 2 picks, 4 fumbles. Like, that was just a bad game for us. We kept getting in our way. And I think the week of practice after was we were gassed, we weren't ready to go, and we got to change that. We got to be a better team. So coaches really pushed us hard in practice that next week. We pushed ourselves a lot, too. Like, whenever someone was messing around, we got on them. And you just got to, from that kind of loss, you just got to go, all right, can't get any worse. Let's go see what we can do now. So I think from there, we kind of just came together, rallied, and went out and beat Redmond.
And Jaxson, it was kind of a deja vu moment, right? Last year, first game of the year, you guys get beat up by Monroe pretty good. You turn around and then you end up winning Wesco 3A South. And you had Redmond the following week last year, too, and you came out and beat them to kind of get things rolling. Seems like you're on that same path right now. Did that kind of give you that extra confidence, knowing that, hey, just because we lost the first game, let's revert back to last year and think about what we did, and has that kind of helped you get through this?
Absolutely. I mean, last year, I think that was the longest game of my life, was playing Monroe for the first game and just getting absolutely just killed. And then after that, it was really a wake-up call, you know what I mean? And that's why I was so calm during the game this year, because even though we were getting blown out, I knew that there were better things to come. And practice the next week was fantastic, and it was really just the same game plan, to be honest, which I'm okay with, because if we can continually rally and continually build and build and build upon the things of past weeks, then I think we should be fine and hopefully try to make another playoff appearance and go deep into the playoffs.
I know it's a different team than it was last year, but quite a few players back. You both got some varsity time at various times last year. Jaxson, I know you were getting a lot of time on the defensive side of things. Having that winning culture kind of instilled into you now after going through that playoff run last year, how much more motivated does that make this team? How much does it just make you want to get back and experience that again? And I know, Nate, you were there last year. How much does that drive you?
It's definitely a big force for us. We want to get back to the semifinals. I mean, breaking this quarterfinal curse, that's the biggest step Meadowdale's ever taken. I think with losing that senior leadership last year, we needed some guys to step up. Like, that was special for them and us. So I think we just want to keep being like, they did that. Why can't we go do that? Why can't we go be better? Why can't we play in December? So trying to make the playoffs, that's our goal, yes. But at the end of the day, we want to be better than last year's seniors. We want to go in there. We want to win a semifinal game. We want to go in there. We want to go win a state championship. So I feel like making the playoffs is one of our goals, but it's not the biggest goal for us. So I feel like if we get in there, we got to watch out for Meadowdale.
And Jaxson, you got a big taste of that during the playoffs last year. I mean, how much would it mean to you to get back through your senior year?
I mean, I just really don't want to be looked at as like a one-hit wonder type of team, you know what I mean? I really want to continue the tradition of making the playoffs and getting far, you know, because with the quarterfinal curse, I feel like it was just the stigma of like, okay, well, they're just Meadowdale. They get to the quarterfinals and then they lose, and then this year, or last year, I should say, quarterfinal curse is broken, so now all bets are off. You know, I really want to make it back there and just prove that Meadowdale is a force inside of Wesco and can continually put up big numbers and continually win games.
Okay, now it's one of my favorite segments when we get to teammates in here. I want you to talk about each other for a moment here and what the other person means as a teammate and as a player. Nate, I'm going to start with you. Tell me a little bit about Jaxson Foltz and what he brings to the Mavericks team, maybe offensively and defensively.
Defensively, that's just the guy. Like, you look at Jaxson, he's just gonna go out there and lay somebody out. He might get a pick and run it back. Offensively, no disrespect to Plummer, he's the more athletic Zach Plummer. He's smart, he knows what he's doing, and he can catch any ball you throw to him. Any ball I throw near him, he's gonna get it. He's gonna make moves. He'll make a 5-yard gain, a 40-yard gain in an instant. I love having him on my side. I would hate to try to game plan for him. He's definitely one of the rocks on the offense. When I'm not feeling good about a play, I look at him, he goes, let's do it. And I feel good about having Jaxson on my side.
Quite the compliment there, Jaxson. What do you have for Nate here? Tell me a little bit about Nate Hebert, the quarterback, and the teammate for that matter.
Nate is a fantastic leader. Like, it's super. I mean, I know it's not underrated for quarterbacks, but when you have a good one like Nate, who's just so fired up and just happy to play football, you know what I mean? It's really infectious, and it really gets the offense going. I think when anyone is down or needs to be picked up, it's just let's go get this right now. There's no time to think, you know what I mean? So you can't really think about the last play when it's always just up tempo, go, go, go. That's kind of how our offense is made to be, and that's how Nate keeps it. He keeps everyone in line, and I really appreciate it because sometimes when, like even in the Monroe game when we were getting blown out, you know, it's just forward thinking, you know, no looking back on the past. Good arm, extreme dual threat ability. You know, the read options and the rushing ability is there, obviously, and I wouldn't want to have anyone else in the huddle.
Speaking of leadership and forward thinking, tell me about your coaching staff a little bit. I know having a chance to watch you guys, love following this team on social media, by the way. Coaches are very active on social media with the players. There's a lot of fun banter. I get the impression that it's a very player-friendly environment, but at the same time, having been at your practices before, Nate, I know that Coach Leonard and some of the other staff members, they're not going to let it be all fun and games, are they?
No. Most of our practices, you show up, it's kind of lighthearted. We're ready to play. Coaches are playing offense. Coaches are playing defense. Like, even on Thursday before Shorecrest, we had a player versus coaches scrimmage, kind of getting us ready to go, just loosen up we were tight all week, just kind of loosen the mood. But when it comes down to business, coaches are there. Coach Harmon's ready. Coach Leonard's ready. Coach Stu, Coach Cherry, anybody else, they're all ready to go. When it comes down to it, it's game time, and they're not going to let anybody mess around. Like, some of us, we weren't exactly on time on Friday, and we didn't start. That was what they enforced. We had to be there, you know, and we got to learn lessons from that. And it's always fun to play for Meadowdale, but at the same time, we're just ready to go.
There we go. And speaking of ready to go, big games coming up. The one thing that all 6 of your next games have in common, they're all at Edmonds Stadium, so fans have no excuse not to be there, right? And Jaxson, as a senior, I'm sure you kind of enjoy playing your games at the stadium over there. Snohomish this coming week, 8 o'clock start. You guys ever heard of Keegan Stitch? Keegan Stitch, all-state running back from last year for Snohomish. 29 rushing touchdowns, almost 2,100 yards rushing last year. And Jaxson, you and your pals over on the defensive side, you got a big task in front of you this coming week.
Yeah, I was watching film on Snohomish, and what they really make you do is tackle them. And, you know, I can't say I'm not worried about Stitch. Of course, I mean, he's a fantastic athlete behind a really good line. But, I mean, we just have to come out and hit, you know? I don't really know what else to say.
It's going to be a physical game.
It's going to be a very physical game. I couldn't lie to you and say I wasn't nervous, but...
And guys, I know when we talk to coaches, they only like to talk about one game at a time, but we're going to go a little bit further ahead because you've got 2 big games coming up that are probably of interest to the community out there. The following week, Mount Lake Terrace, more importantly for you guys, it's homecoming night. Nate, I've got to always think that anytime you play homecoming, it's always fun, right? It's always an exciting night.
Yeah, last year's was fun against, I think it was Shorewood we played them, and that was just a fun atmosphere. So many people there. We had homecoming. Half our football team was homecoming queen. And, you know, it was pretty cool to be in that kind of situation. And Terrace is a good football team this year. I have a few friends on their team like Dominique Latham and stuff like that. They're a very good team this year, and I'm just excited to play them.
And that game will be Friday, September 29th, 8 p.m. start. So for the alum out there, get on out and watch that game. And then, of course, the first Friday of October, I think it's a game you guys know a thing or two about. It's Jam the Stands. It's Meadowdale and it's Edmonds-Woodway. And Jaxson, your final Jam the Stands game. You guys haven't lost this series in 3 years, so your class has never lost to Edmonds-Woodway. What would it mean for you to go out and get the sweep this year?
It's a huge deal, especially for me. I kind of went to some some elementary schools that fed into Woodway, so I have a couple friends that go there, and it's a big deal. You know what I mean? I mean, we can talk all we want about junior, sophomore, freshman year, but senior year is like the big deal. You know, if we lose this game, I won't have bragging rights
For the rest of your life,
for
right?
the rest
So
of my
it's a
life.
big deal.
Exactly. So we're gonna be ready.
It's a 5 o'clock start too. Again, so that's the first Friday in October. Nate, for you, I mean, you're only a junior, but still, you don't want to lose that game either, right?
Definitely not. The last 2 years, I mean, my first freshman year, I watched from the stands, and that was crazy atmosphere in the stands. I've never experienced anything like that. And then last year being on the field, you know, we came into that week going, this is our game, and I think we proved it. I mean, guys like Ollie Gay on the other side of the ball, like that's fun to go against. And Drew Tingstad and everyone else went out and just balled last year. So I think this year I'm just gonna try to if I play that game, I'm just trying to fill in, just do what they do, and let's go have a good game against Woodway because that game's always fun.
And they're always fun, and they're always epic. There's been some really fantastic finishes over the last few years. But until then, Snohomish first, and then Mount Lake Terrace. Hey guys, other activities you're involved with at the school? I know neither one of you play a winter sport, but you're each busy in the spring as well. Jaxson, you're a lacrosse player, a sport that's starting to pick up momentum around, especially in Western Washington. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect from you in the spring and the lacrosse team. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, we actually got a new head coach last year. Scott Carden came over from Kamiak to coach us, and then we made the playoffs last year. So, I mean, I just want to see more support, to be honest. I think it's a growing sport, and I think it's definitely interesting, but not a lot of people know about it. You know, it doesn't have the hype that football or baseball does. So I would really like to see more people come out this year for a good season.
Fun sport to watch, too, so people definitely need to get out. And then, Nate, you're going to be playing baseball again this year in the spring?
I will be, yes. I unfortunately didn't play last year, but I did play freshman year, and I just kind of took that year off and went, I want to play again, so I'm excited to get back out there on the diamond this year.
So we will see what he can do in the spring also. And one other thing we want to mention before we're off air, something that we just started doing last week, we are going to have an Action Jaxson Plumbing Athlete of the Week or Player of the Week on both the boys and girls side. And Nate, for your performance against Shorecrest, again, 21 for 31 passing, 307 yards, 3 touchdowns, and you ran for a touchdown. Yeah. You are the Action Jaxson Plumbing Player of the Week, so enjoy that T-shirt. Wear it with pride. I know Issa Whalen received one of those for the female Athlete of the Week last week, so we've got 2 Mavs now with those shirts, so congratulations. And guys, best of luck this weekend, Friday night, 8 p.m. against Snohomish over at Edmonds Stadium.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Mavericks can capitalize on last year's success.
It will. It's going to be a tough year in that regard. They lost quite a few seniors who were very vital to that run last year, but nonetheless, I mean, they made it to the semifinals of the state tournament, and it's a Maverick football team that is still very, very talented, so stay tuned.
All right, very good. And we have some soccer to talk about.
We do. We just presented Nate Hebert with his Player of the Week shirt for Action Jaxson Plumbing. We now have the female Athlete of the Week to give that shirt to, and we have a picture that we're going to put up right now. Hannah Hicks is the goalkeeper for the Edmonds-Woodway soccer team. Hannah had a very good week. She always does. She's an extremely good soccer player. A 5-1 victory over Oak Harbor earlier in the week, and then over the weekend, a 0-0 tie with Meadowdale. And she made some key stops down the stretch, was able to catch the end of that game. And Hannah really doing a nice job of making sure that they preserved at least a tie in that game. So for that, we are giving her the Action Jaxson Plumbing Player of the Week honor. Congratulations to Hannah. And oh, by the way, speaking of Edmonds-Woodway soccer, they're off to a nice start. 3 wins, 1 loss, and 1 tie. We brought 2 of the players from that team, Molly and Morgan, into the studio to talk to them about Edmonds-Woodway soccer. The Edmonds-Woodway girls soccer team off to a fast start this season. They've won 3 of their first 5 matches, a tie and a loss also mixed in there. And with us right now, 2 of the members of that team, Morgan Davis, who is a junior, and Molly Carden, who is a senior. And ladies, first of all, congratulations to a nice start to your season.
Thank you.
And Molly, I guess the last time you and I spoke was back in June on My Edmonds News. We were promoting a boys versus girls soccer game that was for a great cause.
Yeah.
Before we talk about your season this year, give me a little bit of an update versus the boys team and how that went and how much money you raised and where the money went to.
Okay, so yeah, last spring we did a boys versus girls game to benefit local Special Olympics, local unified soccer teams, and it went really well. The ending score was 5-4, I think, and we mixed teams, so we can't really say who won and who lost. But we raised somewhere between $500 and $600 for local unified teams, which is really great. And we're doing it again this year.
And I know you were a very instrumental part of that. You were one of the leaders for the
Yeah.
for the project. And was that for school then also? Is that what you were?
Yeah, it was for, you do a CAS project if you're in full IB, and that was
You should
my
explain what
CAS
full IB is too.
Okay, so full IB is, it's a program you go through. It's to get the IB diploma, which is like the highest form of high school diploma you can get in the country. And there's like certain requirements you have to go through, such as a CAS project, which is creativity, action, and service. And that's what the benefit game was about. It combined action and service, and it was to raise money for Special Olympics. And so I played with the local unified team leading up to that, and it was really great.
For an amazing cause, so very well done. Now let's talk about the season here. 2 games this past week. One I know you enjoyed more than the others, right?
Yeah.
5-1 victory over Oak Harbor earlier this week. Morgan, it's always fun when you get a big victory like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like once we started scoring, you could totally tell there was a shift in like the mood of the team, and we just started having way more fun throughout the game.
And then a 0-0 game against Meadowdale. Meadowdale plays, we had them in here in studio last week.
Yeah.
Solid defensive team, right? They're not an easy team to score on, Molly. Was it a pretty frustrating game for you?
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating. It definitely wasn't a boring game. You had to be on your toes the entire time, but they put up a good fight, and we just got to move on and focus on the next game.
And that game took place on Saturday. I was able to catch the last 20 minutes of that game and talk about being on the edge of your seat. Both teams having their opportunities late in the game in overtime, and unfortunately for both teams, neither one able to get on the board. Not going to have you talk about yourselves because it's a little bit more difficult when you're trying to stay humble and whatnot. So I'm going to have you talk about each other here really quick. Morgan, tell me a little bit about the senior defensive backer here. What's Molly like to play with, and what kind of a game does she have?
I mean, she's just really like serious during the game, and it's really fun to play with because I feel like I can look up to her and she knows what she's doing, and she does a really good job of communicating with the team. And I think part of like I played with her last year, and just to watch her grow and improve and like take on a role of leadership this year, it's been great.
And Molly, you've got the junior Morgan Davis next to you. Tell me a little bit about Morgan.
I love playing on the field with Morgan. She's our center mid, and I know I can always count on her to be there. She's really dynamic and fast on the field, and I just love seeing her, surprise everybody and play those great balls to our forwards and all that.
Okay, now let's talk about the rest of the team here. A team that we should mention, I know we're 3 years removed from the state championship now.
Yeah.
2 years ago, the team finished 3rd at state, and I know, Molly, you were on that team.
Yeah.
Do we have a chance? I guess we'll start off before we even ask about the players. Are we feeling pretty good about the team this year? Can we maybe get back to state this year?
I'm feeling really good about the team this year. I think we have a really great dynamic. I think we work really, really hard. So I really think we're a team to watch out for this year.
Okay, and Morgan, for you, tell me a little bit about the girls that we see playing up front, the scorers, if you will. Who do we have on the front line and at midfield with you?
Well, so I personally really like playing with Gabby Chappelle. She's a junior as well, and I've played with her for 3 years, so we have like this connection. But we've been kind of experimenting up top, and like we haven't really had one like sole goal scorer. And Molly scored from the back line too. But we're pretty young up top, and it's just great to see everybody like taking opportunities and getting shots.
And who are some of the names of the girls we see playing up front?
You see Michaela Danyo and Ingrid Fosberg, who are juniors, Lexi Catton, who's a senior, and Dara Scotland, who's a sophomore.
Okay, and now Molly, we'll shift over to the back line there. Who's playing back there with you? And I know you got a pretty good goalkeeper too, right?
We have an amazing goalkeeper, Hannah Hicks. She's my co-captain. And we've also got Juliet, who's our left back, and then Sophia and Sydney Scott are in center back. Sometimes Megan and Ash do. And they're really strong back there. You can count on them. Solid
team, and they're trying to get their 4th win of the year. And the 4th win's kind of a big one, right? And I know this is part of the reason why you maybe weren't too happy with the 0-0 outcome of the Meadowdale game. Coach Bill Lecomte, he's got 199 career victories right now.
Yeah.
Perhaps victory number 200 coming up this week. Talk about Coach Lecomte a little bit. I know he's been at the school for a while, and what does he mean to you personally and as a coach of this team? Maybe I'll start with you, Molly.
Everybody loves Bill. We really wanted to get the 200th win for him this weekend. It didn't happen, but it's going to happen. And he's a really great coach. He's one of the best coaches I've ever had. He's always so supportive. He believes in you. You know he believes in you, and it just helps you elevate your level of play. And he's such an experienced coach. He knows what he's doing, and he's always looking out for the best for you guys, and it's really great.
And Morgan, I know you have a lot of admiration for Coach also. Tell me what it would mean to be a part of the 200th victory for Bill and what he's meant to this program.
I mean, it'd be incredible. I just love having him as a coach. He's super, like Molly said, he's super supportive of all of us, and he's not afraid to like tell us what's what, and like if we're doing something wrong, he'll tell us, and then we'll fix it. And I mean, I can't imagine like being coached by somebody else like for my 3 years on varsity.
So we will see if that 200th victory will come this week. Tuesday at home against Marysville-Pilchuck. That's a 7:30 start time at Edmonds Stadium. Thursday, the team goes to Shoreline Stadium where you'll take on Shorecrest at 7 p.m. Should also mention Shorecrest, a team that beat you in the first round of districts last year. I know it was a double elimination, so it didn't end the season, but it puts you into that consolation bracket. Would that mean something to you to get a chance at knocking them off after what they did to you back in districts?
Definitely. Shorecrest always gives us a really good game. Last year was really tough. We lost in PKs. But, this year it's a new team. I'm sure they've got a new team as well, and so we'll see what happens.
And I know we're filming this on a Sunday morning. The two of you are about to run off. You've got a car wash fundraiser with the team later on today. Morgan, tell me a little bit about the activities of this team. Is this a team that really gets along and enjoys being around each other? Is it kind of exciting when you get to go out and do something other than soccer with all these teammates?
Yeah, so we usually try and have like a team dinner Monday or Wednesday night before our games just to get together and like focus on each other outside of soccer. And I know Bill's trying to plan like some sort of team bonding later in the season, and I think it might be program wide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that we can all be together, and I think it's just great to like have a team, like have a squad specifically that's like you're all together and like unified rather than individual teams.
And as we go into district play or Wesco play, I should mention, what does the league look like this year, or do we know? I know last year it seemed like all the teams, the top 6 or 7, were all kind of bundled up together, and it was kind of hard to project who was going to finish where. Molly, do we have a very good idea right now as to what's going on, and what are your thoughts early on in the Wesco season?
I think last year is a lot different from this year. Last year it was pretty clear who the top half of Wesco were. This year I think DA, or Developmental Academy, has really switched things up, so I think a lot of the teams are adjusting to that, and so it's harder to see who's going to be in the top. We're all going to be fighting for that spot.
The one thing I wanted to ask you about also, since we did have the Meadowdale girls in here last week, I know they had some rituals that they go through pre-game and during the game. Do we have anything like that on this team, Morgan?
Yeah, so before the game, after Bill talks to us, we're in the locker room and we get in a circle and we take a Sharpie and write on our wrists the person to our left. So like I would write Molly's name, and then I would say like what I want her to do during the game and just like kind of boost their confidence and like show them that we know what they can do.
Very nice. So you keep it short then, I take it, right? You don't want to have too much writing on the arm, is that true, Molly?
Yeah, we just write one name and then say what we want them to do, and then also later when we go out on the field, we all say one team and one individual goal.
Isn't there a chant also, or do they?
Yeah.
We won't make you do it on camera, but I want to know what the chant.
Yeah, so at the end, I'll say like, and team goal is, and everyone like says win, but like really like drawn out. Like, should we do it?
I think we need
No.
a win
Okay,
chant, don't
ready?
we?
All right. Team goal, win!
There we go. So they're going to try to wean every one of their games. And then as far as other activities at school, before we take off here, Molly, what are you involved with? I know obviously we talked about the Special Olympics soccer game that I know you're instrumental in planning, but what other activities are you doing at school?
So I'm in full IB, and
Which is international business, by the way. We should point out.
international baccalaureate.
Baccalaureate, okay, there we
yeah.
go.
And
so close.
you're starting that this year
Yeah.
as well. And so that involves CAST project and like a 0 period class and a bunch of like responsibilities that you have to do, as well as getting like your high school diploma. So yeah,
And
good luck.
Morgan, I know you're one of the track stars on the team too. Tell me a little bit about your track goals for the year and what you're going to be possibly running in. I know we're a little ways away still, but what can we be expecting out of you this coming spring and throughout the course of the school year too?
I don't really know like what I'm going to be doing this track season specifically because we lost a bunch of seniors last year. So like I think I might like end up being a 400, 800 runner rather than a sprinter. But it'll be interesting to see like who actually comes back.
So never a dull moment for these two ladies and for their teammates for that matter as well. Again, great start to your season. Best of luck. Hopefully by next week we're talking about a 200th victory for Bill Lecomte, maybe 200 and 201, perhaps. We'll see.
Hopefully.
So Molly, Morgan, thank you for being on the show, and best of luck to the Warriors throughout the course of the soccer season.
Thank you.
great to see all the traditions that Molly and Morgan have with the Edmonds-Woodway soccer team. That's fun.
It's always fun to hear about some of these rituals that these players do before games, or even during games for that matter. And an Edmonds-Woodway soccer team, by the way, that is not just about rituals. They're about championships. They won the state championship 3 years ago. They're always a force in Wesco, and it will be very interesting to see where they come out this year.
Yeah, very good. Well, and now we've got more soccer to talk about, right?
We do. The Linwood Royals had a nice week. They picked up 2 victories out of 3 matches. They had a win over Mount Lake Terrace 3-1 earlier in the week, and we've got a picture of Cassidy Odell from the Royal soccer team against the Hawks. And then later on in the week, on Saturday, they defeated Arlington 4-1. So Linwood off to a 3-1 start to their year. So congratulations to the Royals.
Very good. And what about swimming?
Swimming, they hit the pool this past week. Mount Lake Terrace, we've got a fun picture we're going to put up here in a moment. Kayla Primavera, showing her participating in the butterfly. And then an Edmonds-Woodway Warrior team that is 3-0 to start their season off. And we've got a picture of those ladies in the pool, a group shot, and congratulations to them. We will definitely not be ignoring swimming this year. We're going to try to do our best to get some of those athletes in studio and bring you results throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, good. And what about cross country now?
Cross country also underway. Mount Lake Terrace hosting a big event this past week. They had Jaxson, Kamiak, and Mount Vernon at their place. Jordan Lafrace from Mount Lake Terrace placed second in that event. We've got a picture of Jordan. So Jaden Lafrance.
Right, Jaden.
We got you, Jaden. Jaden posting a second place finish at that meet, so congratulations to him. And cross country, always a strong sport around here. Again, Edmonds-Woodway, we know that they're one of their teams is ranked first in the state right now. Both of their teams are always tough.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot to talk about there too.
Yes, there will be. And we'll have it all here for you every week. We're always excited to bring you the latest. And did we get it all?
We have volleyball we want to mention real quick too.
Volleyball, that's right.
Can't
Yep.
forget about volleyball. Edmonds-Woodway picking up 2 nice victories this past week. Woodinville on Wednesday, a little redemption for the football loss that the Falcons gave to the Warriors. And then the ladies went out and picked up another victory on Thursday against Marysville-Pilchuck. So Edmonds-Woodway 2-1 overall this year. They've got a home match coming up on Tuesday night against Shorewood, so hopefully some of their fans will get out there and support them.
Well, if you had a top football matchup for people to go see this week, what would it be?
Ooh, that is a good question. There's the Snohomish Meadowdale one that we talked about in that interview. That's going to be a game that could even end up deciding who wins Wesco 3A at some point, although I still think Edmonds-Woodway might be the favorite right now. Edmonds-Woodway, they're going up to Everett to play an Everett Seagull team that bounced back last week after getting beat up by Cascade the week before, so that could be intriguing. Shorewood, Mount Lake Terrace, 2 teams that are struggling right now a little bit. Shorewood's got 2 victories, but they haven't really played anybody yet. But in terms of evenly matched teams, that's probably as good as any game you're going to get this week, and that's at 7 p.m. at Shoreline Stadium.
Okay, great. Well, you have some choices if you're looking for something to do on Friday night, and we will see you next week with all the results. Thanks for joining us.